doing?
Good, you?
You got some stuff to talk about?
Yeah, we always got stuff.
Coming to you live on the Government Access Channel from Mario Bagnoni Chambers in beautiful downtown Erie. It's the Taxpayers Hotline Show with your hosts, Kaz Kwiatkowski and John Steiner.
I don't know how he does it.
Who?
DJ.
You know, he comes here and he's live over there.
He knows where
off
we are at
camera.
all times.
He's off camera. I haven't seen or heard from DJ.
He's probably working the gold mine or silver mine.
I remember when he came here, I thought he was moving back this way or something. He said, didn't he?
I put that down. Probably working the silver mine or gold mine. He's, maybe we'll have to contact him.
He's a savant. What's new, Cass? How was your weekend and week last
It
week?
was interesting.
Interesting. Oh, interesting. Is that a good interesting or a bad interesting?
Good interesting, but busy.
Hey.
How about you? What did you do?
You know, it was a really fun-filled weekend for me. Went to Zimbabwe Friday night, and I got my polka on, and believe me, that's a lot of work.
What's that?
Doing the polka where you're spinning around, you can get dizzy like real quick.
That's why, if you have a little bit of liquid encouragement,
See,
you won't feel it when you fall,
No, I did have that. We had the Polish beer over there, the Tiski and
No,
Tiski.
ready?
What is it? I'm ready.
Tiskia.
Tiskia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that had me on the dance floor.
What's the matter? We have
Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, hi. I'm calling about a property that I called a couple weeks ago about property with blight.
Yeah.
The issues are still going on.
Well, you know what? They are aware of it because after we left the show, Kaz and I,
we went upstairs.
yeah, we talked to them up there, so they are aware of it. Now, what and when they're going to do anything about it, I don't know, but they are aware of the problem.
We'll check in, go there at nighttime, and they leave at the crack of dawn. It's always like sometimes 5 guys or 3 guys. It varies, and they come up with their trash bag with the blanket and the pillow.
Yeah.
They go crack of dawn. So I think this house is abandoned.
Okay. Well, listen, they do listen upstairs for the most part some days when they're not busy, but they are aware of that problem. So when they do something about it, I'm sure they'll get to it, but they are aware.
Yeah, they got a full plate of stuff right now.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because I hate to see something bad happen to a child involving this property.
Well, nobody wants to see that. We agree.
Because it's the city's job and everyone's job to protect the children.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's all of our job.
Yes, it is.
For sure. Anything else for today?
No, that's it.
All right. Thanks for calling.
Thanks, bye.
So, Tall Ships Fest.
Yeah.
Did you go down there at all?
No.
Yeah, I've seen. I went down to my old homestead down on Front Street there next to the church and watched them roll through. When they have the parade of ships, pretty cool.
Well, if you're up on top, that was okay, right?
Yeah.
You had a good place to watch.
Yeah, I don't get into a big crowd standing around waiting for
Well,
boats.
it's not fun anymore. When the world we live in, going through security and
I didn't have.
not that I carry anything, but it just
Right.
not only that. A couple of members of my family can't walk real good, and that's not going to help. So it just didn't work out. So it's a nice thing and all, but
Yeah, I don't. If anybody went down there, want to give us a call. Why don't you let us know how everything was going down there? I don't know. I haven't seen the newspaper or anything regarding numbers or how many people attended or.
they probably did pretty good.
Oh, I'm sure they did, but it's just weird how they shut down the dock. You can't drive down there, and just see. You just look at them for free. You have to pay. But I understand.
What would have been nice is, it's kind of hard because of the way Erie's laid out, but it'd be nice if they had a way where you could you could drive by and catch a look at them.
Well, if they just left the dock open at night, but you have to have security by the boats, but,
Well, they're not gonna let you in there because of the security issue.
you know,
When they declared what they did, which is what, a big event,
yeah,
you weren't gonna get down there with your car.
no, I mean, it was unfortunate, but,
And, it's a crazy world, and maybe I'm getting old, but, I just don't enjoy all the security today. I know it's necessary, but,
yeah,
I come from a generation where we didn't do that.
right, well, after 9/11,
Yeah, but in some cases, some of the stuff was, we abrogated some of our freedoms in certain ways. It's one thing when you can prove something, but like now, you can't even go to a football game,
in the Patriot Act, that's a whole nother conversation.
but if you go to a game now, you gotta have a see-through bag.
Yeah, right, go ahead, caller.
Hey, I wanted to ask you, I live at Bishop Towers here,
Yeah,
Wall Street side. I see they got that car ramp at the bus company almost finished. They finished building it, they just kinda work on the inside there.
well, I think they got more work. They got, that building's coming out a lot further.
Yeah,
I think the parking ramp is only part, I'm trying to remember.
large, and I don't see that big huge crane.
The what?
That big red crane they had. So
Did they take it down?
I figured, cause I was getting to wondering,
Did they take the crane down?
huh?
Is the crane gone?
Yeah, the crane's gone, and there's a little white crane over there.
I thought that was coming out further. I gotta look at the drawings of that thing, but I thought the building was coming out
It's
closer to French Street than it is.
the car ramp's pretty large. I can see it from here, but they're gonna put some hotels. I mean, some wholesale place in there.
Yeah, but I thought they were gonna bring, there's another part of the building that's coming out further. I'm gonna have to look at I got my plans at home somewhere. They gave us all a copy of them, but I thought the building was coming out further.
In that. See what they're gonna put in there. Cause I know they said that the grocery store was denied.
What do you mean it was denied?
Cause when I asked them a while back if they were gonna put a grocery store in the bottom of the car ramp, and they said that was denied.
Well, who denied it?
I don't know.
Maybe it didn't work out, but they told us the last time they talked to council, they were deciding whether to make it a farmer's market or a single grocery store or a combination of different things, but I'll have to ask my our liaison of council what he knows.
I was wondering about that, cause I thought you were gonna look into that. That's why.
Well, the last time they told us that, that's what they told us. I'll talk to our liaison, ask him to,
One of the things that,
ask him what the hell is going on,
they were talking about now is a market down on the GAF
Right, but
property.
that was always envisioned there.
I think they got funding for it.
At one point,
Yeah.
but that was always, John, that was always gonna be, when every drawing we ever seen of that project,
Yeah,
that was gonna be there, okay?
okay,
And they were thinking it was gonna be more of a market house concept, okay?
and that's what they're still talking.
And then when the bus company decided to build one too,
Yeah,
we had Johnny Buckner on here one time, they were kind of working together to decide, what would be best for both of them.
yeah,
But there is a need for both of them, really.
sure.
Cause I thought they were trying to get one, a grocery store near here.
Well, I know they are. You know what?
Oh, they have that.
I'll call the gentleman that runs the bus company and ask him.
That's kind of a little pricey there,
What's that?
That's not cheap going in there.
Where's that?
Stuff is expensive.
Which one's that?
That place next to Rite Aid.
What's that, the Oasis or something, or what
No,
Well, they sell
what's it called?
the market there?
different things they sell. They sell fruit and bread and stuff like that.
Well, if they come up with the market house concept, I think you'll like that. Because, you know, you get a lot of stuff a little cheaper,
Yeah.
and, I know they got, like John said, they got a grant now
Yeah.
for the one down at the GAF site, but I'll have to talk to the bus company. I'll talk to his liaison first. If he doesn't know anything, I'll call the bus, cause I'm curious. I thought the building was gonna be a lot bigger.
Yeah,
That was my
it is
understanding.
pretty large now. The car ramp is pretty large now.
Yeah, but I thought the ramp was coming out a lot further west than it is, you know.
Yeah.
I haven't been by there in a while, so
Well, he's right, they had a big crane, and they got a parking ramp, like
Yeah.
roughly about looks like 3 or 4 stories high,
okay.
but it's only about halfway, on that last piece of property
Okay,
where the old garage was.
yeah.
And my understanding was that they were gonna bring that out. I thought the ramp was gonna be on top too, maybe it isn't. Maybe it's only a 1-story extension.
Yeah, but it's
But-
pretty large now.
Well, it is, but you can't really see it because you have to drive down that street. If you try to watch, because the level building blocks it out from other streets.
Yeah.
Like you're up high, you can see it, but if you're down at street level,
Building
you can't see none of that unless you drive down the street, actually.
on the 10th floor.
Yeah.
Okay.
I heard you've been dropping parachutes up there.
Yeah, right.
What?
Hey, I was going to ask you the Boston store, what they're going to put in there. A hands on that. I know they took out the clock up on top.
Well, they're fixing that clock.
Get that refixed.
Yeah, they found out they have to replace it. That's what they said in the news.
Yeah,
They found out that they couldn't fix it, so they're getting a copy made,
yeah,
you know, more up to date. They want to also work on the one inside, the old Boston store clock in the inside.
yeah.
They want to bring that into
That brewery's going to still be there.
who? Well, I think they are. I would
Be there?
I would doubt if they give up the leases with all the radio stations and everything.
Yeah.
But what you'll see is there'll be housing. I don't know what form it'll take.
Well, there is housing in there now.
Well, yeah, but if the housing authority takes over, I don't know what they have planned. You know.
But it's not the housing authority, it's hands.
Well, Hands, right, I'm sorry. But Hands is, that's an agency that deals with housing too.
Yeah.
Housing and neighborhood development.
Right.
So, I mean, it'll be, you know, there'll be a plan. I don't know what it is. They haven't talked to council yet.
Well, from where they received their funding,
First thing I wanted to ask you, you know there on 12th Street where that tire place is?
Yeah.
On 12th and Wrestler? Well, if you go west on 12th, I think almost next door to it, there's a place here. Is that for to plug in electric cars?
Is it the what?
Where you can plug in electric cars?
At 12? I didn't know they had one there.
I didn't either.
I don't know if that's what it is or not, but
Where at?
there's a tire place
12th and Westler, he said.
but where they tore them buildings down and then they built that and it looked like there was a car in there. I don't know if it's to plug in for electric cars or not.
You know, I don't know. I'll have to look. I live over by
Yeah,
that.
the only place I seen electric car plug-ins.
It's right across from where that small brewery was.
Yeah.
It's right across the street from there.
I'll have to take a look next time I go out there. I do know the only place I seen,
Wall Street, it's on the right hand side.
Nick Scott has some in the back of his hotel on Peach Street. If you go up to Cracker Barrel, you'd see them in the back. They're lit up and it says Tesla, like. So he's got charging stations. I'll bet you that someday in the future,
They have all electric cars.
well, the city will have, the city or parking authority will install some.
Eventually,
And-
it'll
and-
be mandated.
And,
Watch.
well, yeah, but in other cities, you like pay for them, you know. You
Yeah.
put a quarter in for a charge. we can do that in the city, you know, eventually someday.
Like air.
Yeah.
We have to pay for air at the.
Well, no, but charging is, like if you go to Nick's place, right?
Yeah.
Now you're paying for his room, so that's part of the deal, right? So you're paying for that.
Yeah, right.
But, you know, if the city were to do it, you know, install the equipment and all that, I think a nominal charge would be okay.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I was
You
gonna
know.
ask you something.
Yeah,
You think they'll ever come out with a electric car? They must come out with an electric car that you go almost to Florida with on a single charge.
they don't want that.
Oh, they don't want that?
Well, big oil don't want that.
Yeah, but you know,
I mean, here's what you got. If they wanted to, and they put their head to it, I'm sure they could come up with a car
Yeah.
yeah.
in a system. I don't know if they, you know, right now we may not have the technology for a battery like that,
Right.
but, you know, maybe they have the ability to make it go further.
Well, they came out with an electric semi.
Well, you can also get a car that runs
They have it.
quasi-electric, quasi-gas, you know. But really, I think at the bottom of it all, I don't think the auto industry really would appreciate. I mean, the oil companies. I mean, you're talking a huge
Yeah.
jolt to the economy if they, you know.
Yeah.
They probably do have a battery that you can go a long ways with, but your oil companies are probably fighting it.
Oh yeah, I would think.
Yes.
You know, look at the stuff that's come out technologically. You know.
Yeah, 'cause you figure with the technology, they gotta come up with something that, 'cause I know you can get a battery, you can go up to 50 miles.
I used to hear this all the time about why don't they do this and this. When you look underneath the surface, there's a reason why they don't want it to happen.
Yeah,
Just like with the pills, they don't want us buying from Canada.
right.
You know,
Perfect example of that is.
I believe they have cure for diseases and that,
Well, there's
and they don't want these people cured 'cause
yeah, there you go.
affect their profits.
I saw that in the USA Today that Cuba has a successful vaccine for lung cancer,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and we just
Who does Cuba?
Cuba, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Hey, you think they'll ever find a cure for diabetes? If they already have a cure for it?
I don't know. There's a lot of money in medicine. That's the sad part.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was a kid, we eradicated a lot of diseases. You know,
Yeah.
we caused them not to be. You know, I don't know if we ever cure them entirely, but
Yeah.
you know,
There's no money in the cures. That's
the
sad
big
part.
thing is if all the smart people in this,
That's why you figure with the technology, you figure they would have to come up with something.
well, you need all the smart people in the world to forget where they come from, to sit down in a room and, you know, work together. And I mean everybody. I'm talking about, you know,
When
countries we don't like and
talking
all
about
that.
cancer, you know when John Kansas, you know when there were supposed to be human trials.
Yeah, but you know, that thing, now there's an example
Perfect
of a
example,
project
yeah.
that quieted down real quick.
That.
And you have to wonder, you know, why
Well,
it went away.
the FDA squashed it.
And well, underneath that, you probably know who really squashed it.
The pharmaceuticals.
Well, you were looking at changing the whole concept
Got
of
it.
how we did things.
Yeah.
It's sad, but
And it's awful. I mean, why? I wish we would have never let the Kansas project leave this community.
Yeah.
Before the human trials, before
Yeah.
we actually proved that it worked and it was successful, we never should have let that leave this when we handed it over to that doctor,
Right.
Curley.
it'd have been better if we went to Cleveland or Pittsburgh with
No,
it.
I mean,
You know, close by.
first they should have kept it in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
They could have did something like that at UPMC in Pittsburgh.
Or even somebody that we're comfortable with, like Cleveland or here.
Yeah.
You know, that's right close, that we
Right.
have a hand on it. Because, you know, to be truthful, you know, some of the best doctors are in those big centers like that.
Sure.
You know, but to ship it to Houston, that was like out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, and they kept, you know.
I'll leave you go.
Okay.
Thanks. They kept raising money, and then,
Well, it's sad because,
well, that was quick.
yeah.
I mean, that
How
was,
come that's low? Ah, there it is. hang on a minute, ma'am. Go ahead, try it again.
Okay, I wanted to commend the city on doing a great job with keeping the parks up so nice and clean this year. Also, a lot of the trees that were dead, the ash trees from the ash beetle, the city had the dead trees removed. They've also planted new trees in some of the parks. They looked very nice. Also, the trash has been really kept up.
Which parks are you referring to more specifically, ma'am?
That are being kept up really good.
Which parks were you talking about?
With the trees and everything?
Are being kept up.
Yeah.
Burton Park was kept up.
Ah.
Also, I noticed Frontier Park, that was pretty clean. And also like Wozniak Park.
Walzak?
Yeah, Walzak.
Yeah, I'll tell Sarah because she has a lot to do with it. In our parks, used to be under Bruce. I'm trying to think who's the new guy now. I'll tell them, and I hope they listen. Sometimes they listen to the show.
Yeah, people upstairs, they listen.
But a lot of those tree things, that's Sarah Galloway. Wow, Sarah, she got a new name now, but
She married.
yeah. But Sarah, yeah, she's behind it. And our parks department, of course, you know, they're the ones that cleaned it.
They are, it looks good.
Well, that's good. We like to hear that
Yeah,
because
a lot of people call this show with complaints and problems, but it's always good to get compliments every now and then.
Parks Department doesn't have that many employees, and they do
Yeah.
a pretty good job. I mean, I gotta say that because
Yeah.
it's not, they get a little bit of summer help
Right,
to augment what they got, but they don't have big numbers.
agreed.
It kept them really clean, and I noticed even like when the kids play in the park over at Burton, there's a lot of kids that play basketball at night.
Right.
Right,
The city has always made sure that it was clean. You know, like come Monday morning,
Right.
the park, they come in, they clean up,
Mm-hmm.
the basketball courts and even the tennis courts have been really well kept up.
Right. And the tennis courts are hard to keep clean because
Yeah.
when the wind blows, all the stuff blows right against the fence. So that's where all the trash tends to congregate. But thanks for calling. It's always good. Makes the people that actually clean those parks makes them feel good to hear compliments.
Also, too, when the Central tennis team, the girls practice over there because my daughter was on the tennis team for Central.
Okay.
I noticed from when the time she was on a few years ago, there were leaves and trash sometimes against the fence, but I haven't seen it at all this year.
Well, that's really saying something. So yeah, I'm sure they appreciate the good word.
Where'd your daughter play tennis? Over at Frontier or?
No, she
Bert.
played tennis. She was captain of the Central
Oh,
varsity women's tennis team.
yeah. We got a nice tennis. I think we still have the tennis program in the summer too that we run.
Yeah, she did that when she was young.
Tennis was not my sport. You'd need a higher fence than when I was playing. I would launch in them all over the place.
And a shorter net.
Oh, I was terrible.
Yeah.
And I think Mercy, it was like a Catholic grade school. They practiced over there too. But I know the Central girls tennis team. They practice over there all the time. But my daughter, sometimes they would have some tennis matches
Yeah.
with other teams, and they would go to Frontier.
Right.
The one program that had the most money for tennis that I've noticed in the city was Fairview because their program was around for many years.
You know what's sad, Bob? I can remember when they had tennis courts at Glenwood, tennis courts at Ainsworth Field, where Roosevelt was, and then they had tons of tennis courts behind Central. They still got them down. Do they have them behind Central anymore?
I don't think they're maintained.
They used to have a lot more. They took a lot of them out, though.
Or did they?
Yeah. You still there, ma'am?
Yeah, I'm still there.
Yeah, they still got tennis courts at Central. I know they took some of them out.
I don't really notice because when I drive by there, my daughter doesn't go to school. She graduated from college a couple years ago.
Yeah, in the middle where the junior high was and the gym,
Huh?
they used to have all these tennis courts, and then up on the hill they had a couple.
I don't think the school district really
Now, you know what?
has
It-
the money to fix those.
Well, it used to be popular at one time that, the public used to play a lot of it, but,
Yeah, I used to see it when I would go to work at night, late at night at Burton Park.
yeah.
A lot of, people, like Indians.
They even had two over at Lincoln School. They had two tennis courts.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it was pretty popular, but, they got, kids using it for street hockey, and they never put the nets back up, and then tennis kinda died for a while. But, it makes its rebirth every once in a while, which is good,
Yeah, I see people, not as much. I mean, people used to have to wait for those courts, like at night over at Burton.
Yeah.
I see sometimes people playing over there, but not as much. But I am seeing a pickup in the teenagers going over there, like at night playing, basketball, which is kind of nice,
Yeah, and some kids used to play what they call street hockey too, and there was, they didn't hurt anything, they played like inside the tennis courts when they weren't being used, and as long as they're respectful and they're using the parks, that's what we like to see,
Yeah,
Didn't Mr. Filippi, when he was mayor, he froze the tennis court at some of the areas, like he made ice skating rinks.
I don't remember that, but
I don't recall that.
it's a good idea, but they used to put an ice rink up at Burton, actually.
Yeah, that's probably what it was.
Yeah, the fire department used to come and flood it when it was cold enough, and then the neighborhood kids would come out with their skates.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, what they did, they put pieces of wood to hold the water in. Mm-hmm. They made a pond. There's plans to do that. Nick Scott was talking about it, maybe in his place he wants to do it.
That'd be nice, yeah.
And then they talked about it in front of the, somewhere near the, somebody else brought up.
It's just a shame, you have to have liability coverage for stuff like that nowadays.
Well,
I think that's why you don't see a lot.
I don't, in Pittsburgh, they take a fountain and they skate around that.
We should do that right over there.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for calling, ma'am.
Yeah, okay then.
That was a good call, thank you.
Yeah, I don't know why, sometimes you get so hung up on, insurance and liability.
Yeah, I know, it's sad.
It used to be when you were a kid, and you skated, you knew you might fall.
Yeah, falling is part of skating, especially me,
Well,
and you too.
yeah,
We're clumsy.
yep,
Go ahead, caller.
Hi, Kaz. It's Freda. I have a couple of things.
yeah,
First of all, the RACP, there was the city and the county were supposed to get together and come up with a list of priorities, and that was never made public. And then the highest priority was given to the Gap site, and I don't even remember that even being talked about in the early stages. Was that list ever publicized, and was this food court thing at the Gap site, was that on the list of priorities that the city and the county put together?
first of all, I don't know who met, it wasn't council, so it probably was the executives and Casey Wells, and, I'll find out for you, cause I'll tell you, Fred, I don't have a list, okay? I will tell you this, though, we were talking about the, farmer's market thing there.
Mm-hmm.
That was always part of their plan.
Yeah, I read that today.
I mean, that was, I have old drawings, you could probably come, I don't know if we still have them here, Freda. We had them on file, some of the conceptual drawings, David Brennan's, and, the early ones, they always had a farmer's market, and it was supposed to be, right by the highway more, on the south end of the property. So that's nothing new, but, how they came up with the list, council wasn't a part of it, and I never got one. But,
I'm a little concerned because, in my experience with multiple projects in the same area,
yeah,
usually there is some kind of combined review of what's going on. But here we have this piecemealing of all these different projects on the bayfront. And when I worked for the Forest Service, we actually had a landscape architect who digitized views of the proposed clear cuts as they were seen down valley from a scenic highway.
Yeah.
So that we could tell with the different alternatives what the clear cuts would look like from down valley. And here we are, piecemeal, shutting up the views of the bayfront that the people will have, either if they're walking or driving or up top. And nobody's really looked at the whole picture. It's just one little piece after another. And the National Environmental Policy Act, whenever there's federal money involved, and perhaps the state version of that, requires you to look at what is the cumulative effect of multiple projects. And we are just basically destroying the views and the access to the bayfront without really thinking about it. And I think we're going to really be sorry when that's all over. The way they're going to shut in by Harbor Place, and the port is planning to close off the area under the observation tower, the one that was just painted.
Right.
And it'll obscure the sunset view, it'll close up the water, the airflow, and all this gas construction. It's all going to make it harder and harder to see the bayfront.
I'm going to disagree with you, Freda, and please don't get mad at me, but the way I look at it, you ever been to San Diego?
No, but I've been to Charlotte,
Okay.
I've been to Chattanooga, and
Well,
I've been to Pittsburgh, and
Yeah.
I've been to Buffalo, and places that really try to preserve the visual and physical access to their waterfront.
Yeah, but a lot of towns, even Chicago, Chicago has their areas where they got tall buildings. San Diego has a nice plan. I pointed that out only because I was there many years ago, and they had a plan that by the water was a public park, and as you move back, you had some small commercial things that people would like to go to. Little antique shops, nautical themed stuff. They called it Seaport Village. You can look it up. And then as you went back away from the water, on the other side of the highway, the buildings got taller. And you and I will disagree, but Freda, I think there's nothing wrong in taking a certain area and saying you can have development here, because you still got plenty of places you can watch the sunset if you want to. I mean, you can drive down, you got the bluff, where they have the walkway up there. And even Nick Scott's building doesn't really block that. I mean, it's only 8 stories.
It blocks a nonprofit, the Hammett. I mean,
But
businesses-
Hammett does more to block, and that's on the,
I know.
But if you get on the other side, if you move down east,
Yeah.
are you still with us, Freda?
And what I really think is lacking,
Yeah.
somebody actually digitizing all these different projects, helping us to see what is the cumulative effect of all these projects on the physical and visual access to the bayfront of people walking on the footpaths, of driving on the bayfront parkway,
Yeah.
up top. Not everybody has a car, as you remember.
Well, here's the problem the state did, and they're responsible for this. Everybody wanted to close 12th Street down. Do you remember that, Freda?
No, I don't.
Well, you go up there now. You can't drive in some of the lanes we used to be able to drive in on 12th Street. You know what I'm talking about, John, right? They were going to make 12th Street a friendly place. That was 10, 12 years ago. Okay? So now the state comes up with this gem. They found out that they were surprised that the Bayfront Highway is successful. So now they want to move traffic.
Well, it's successful if what you want to do is get in and out of the city real fast.
Well, no, what I mean is their comment, Fredo, to us was they were surprised at how successful the amount of volume of traffic it took. So now they're looking at, we need to open up 12th Street again. So here we go with a waste of money. We shut down, we took the buses off State Street. We put them on French. Now you want people to drive, they want people from Erie Insurance and Hammett, instead of taking the Bayfront Highway, they want them to head south on French Street to go to 12th Street. The trouble is that you congested those roads and you made 12th Street a joke of what it once was, and now we're going back and redesigning it. I don't think anybody has an idea. That road down to Bayfront was only supposed to be an access road, okay? But, you know, surprise, surprise, but I just think sometimes they, you know, I'm amazed at what comes out of the mouths of the people the engineers.
Well, I really encourage any of your viewers and
Yeah.
listeners to make sure that they go to PennDOT, to either their Facebook page or their
Yeah.
website, to the Bayfront Parkway project, and make sure that you're commenting on this project.
Yeah, I'll go along with you that, but
Now, let me finish.
yeah.
Let me finish.
Go ahead.
And be aware that they're talking about pedestrian bridges, but they're not all funded. Only, I think, one or possibly two of them are funded. The rest of them are maybe promises.
Why are you against bridges, Freda?
I'm against the idea of entrenching this highway, making it a super highway, rather than trying to find a way to reducing its impact as a unfriendly part of the city. It divides the city, and by putting a lid on top of it, and the bridges aren't funded. That's the point. They're saying we're going to put these bridges in, but they're not funded. Only one of them is funded. And a lot of us, including the Buki plan, talk about not making that more of a superhighway, not making it more vehicle-centered, but making the city, the Bayfront, the access to the Bayfront, look at pedestrian connection first.
Well, don't you think by east-west traffic going underneath, unlike what it does now, and, you know, going out further east and west, away from State Street, don't you think that helps?
No, it's just going to get people trying to speed through there.
Yeah, but if it goes underground, you're not gonna, right now, State Street's a mess, okay? Do you agree on that?
Entrenching the Bayfront Parkway.
Pardon?
Make the experience of those of us who walk or ride bicycles
Yeah.
along there more and more unfriendly.
Look, the way I understand it, they're gonna build some auxiliary roads alongside of that for, you know, for bicycles. But the fact remains, they did what they did, and you gotta have a road down there. You and I can disagree on it, but I think the plan of going underneath is a lot better than what you have now, which is you got a mess at State Street. There's no way you can cross there. And I like pedestrian bridges, but I'll tell you this, Freda, until everybody points to Buki, and you read the plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you know what he told us in the back room?
What did he tell us?
When he had his meeting with us in the caucus chambers, he told us that we would have to have the political courage to double our taxes, to do the things that had to be done. Now, who's going to do that, Freda? Who's going to pay you know, can you imagine you want to turn it this way, you don't want the state involved? I tell you, the city is not going to build bridges. The city's not going to take care of that highway.
But the state is not going to do it either.
Well,
They're not funding it.
Then it's not going to happen. I can tell you that.
Right.
And Buki said to make it happen, we got to do it. So who are we going to tax, Freda?
You though, people are reading that plan.
You want to tax anybody in the city double?
Them are saying there are pedestrian bridges, and
Yeah.
in the fine print it says, but they're not funded.
Well, we all know that, Freda. It's a plan that they're looking at. Just like I can tell you this: the Warner was a concept, but the money was never there. Now all of a sudden we find out, you know, the project came in too high, but that was for about 10 years there was a concept unfunded. Same with the plan. I mean, you and I disagree on this one, but what we're doing now in the Bayfront Connector down around Buffalo Road, that wasn't funded till recently either. Okay, yeah, it's a concept, and they'll have to find a way to get the funds, or they won't do it. But, I mean, they have to study it because the way things are today, you can't just, turn it on and build it in 1 year or 2 years. Of course the money's not there right now, but I tell you this, Freda, if it's up to the city, I don't know of anybody that's gonna double taxes, and that's what Buki wanted. He said we had to have the political courage to double taxes. Now, I'm gonna ask you, Freda, do you think that would work? What do you think would happen if I double taxes?
I don't really know which parts of the plan that has to do with funding.
He said the whole thing. He said,
Specific thing, and I want to talk about one more thing.
yeah, I'll let you,
Talk
Freda,
about the community college.
Freda, can I finish and I'll let you go to that?
Community college, because that's very important.
Yeah, but Fred, let me finish mine and I'll let you talk all you want about
Here,
with
listen,
John. But
viewers.
here's the problem with
Back there, but let me speak, Kaz.
yeah, I just wanted to finish up your other argument because I wanted to say this.
I'm not talking about the taxes because I wasn't in that back room.
No, what I meant was to make the total plan go the way Buki wanted it. The whole concept, not just the take you to the waiting room, get you cured and send you home. That would have taken much more taxation than we're willing to do. But go on with the college. John's more familiar with that. Go ahead, Freda.
It is imperative that this community has a standalone, place-based community college. I agree with what was quoted about Dr. Church in the Erie Times News, and I know this from personal experience. There are some of us, either because of intellectual differences, the kinds of long-term disadvantages people have had because of poverty and schooling and whatever else, are not well equipped to succeed in an online academic situation. And this workforce-only model that the MPRC has is not what this community needs. The community does need workforce training, but it's imperative that we provide an environment that will help the people who need that help to succeed. And the upside of that is that they will become taxpayers in our community, and they will succeed, and their children will succeed. And it is such a horrible shame that our county executive and our state representatives have not had the guts to say, stand up, and that our governor had not had the guts to say we're going to stand up to Scarnati, that they're trying to cave and they're trying to accept something that is not going to do the job. And I implore everybody to be heard, to talk to their state representatives, to talk to their governor, and their county council people to ensure that they don't back away from supporting standalone community college.
Well, I can tell you this, I know for sure county council isn't gonna back off, and I know for a fact that NPRC, honestly, they don't even wanna be here.
Trust the incoming people at all.
Say that again?
I don't trust that the incoming people are going to support it.
They're not going to. The whole concept is gonna fail. It's already been failing, and they don't even want to be part of this community. And just for you and I, we are on the same page with that. The administration for the county, when I went to, I think you were there too, Fred, at the Jefferson when they gave the presentation. I thought it was a joke. Why would we even consider getting involved with them in the first place? Because what's going to happen is we're going to end up spending some money on a facility. They're going to come in. It's going to fail. And then they're just going to roll out, and we're going to be left holding the bag regarding that's just funding the site that we purchased. Now, as far as the curriculum goes, you're right. We do need some workforce training, and we need something here local. We need something that the inner city youth and kids and even adults, you can visualize and have a standalone facility. But And the thing with the NPRC is it's not even funded by the education department in Pennsylvania. It's through Scarnati, which you are absolutely right. And if something happens where the Republicans no longer control the House, there goes that funding, because it's not supported by the State Department of Education. So you're right about a lot of things.
Well, who's supporting it?
It is the NPRC is funded through a Republican initiative under Scarnati. Scarnati is I think I want to say he's the Speaker of the House.
Yeah, where's the money come from?
It's through the state.
Yeah,
But the Republicans hold the purse strings as far as funding goes. So I think the governor wants it here.
Yeah.
I think other people want it here, but we're not fighting hard enough to get it.
That's right.
So Freda, you're 100% correct. You and I agree on that. So.
Well, people need to be heard. Our state representatives, I have to run all of the ones, at least who represent the city, they're up for re-election next year. And they need to be heard. The governor, he's not going to run again.
Yeah.
But they need to be heard. And Kurt Sonny is the head of the state, the education committee in the House. He needs to be heard. So
Kurt Sonny has done nothing, in my opinion, to help anybody in our state, which he's really not our representative, but he's...
Well, this is Erie County.
Yeah, right. I agree. I mean, we're on the same page with that. Then the whole community college concept, this NPRC, is a joke, and it's a failure. And it's just a matter of time before it just fails here, they pull out, and they go, okay, well, we tried. And then we have the standalone facility. Honestly, when I went and saw the presentation, I thought we were like on Candid Camera or something. I'm like, why would the county, and why would we even consider getting involved with this situation? Is it better, people, oh, well, it's better than nothing. Well, no, it's not, because it's gonna fail, and then we're gonna be left holding the bag as far as money. And tax, even people that are complaining because we have to pay taxes. We're gonna end up paying more for the failure of it not happening if we get involved with that. But go ahead, if there's anything else you want to add.
It's really refreshing to agree with you, John.
Yeah, really. I mean, no, we agree on a lot of things. We just take different approaches. But this whole NPRC thing is a joke. And don't worry, county council, they know it's a joke. And the business community here knows it's a joke. And the fight will continue. And certain members of county council, they get it. So believe me, everybody's on top of it. And people are working on Scarnati. People are working to make sure that we get what we need. And hopefully things will work out in the end. So.
But we must not withdraw the application.
No, they will not. I guarantee that they will not.
They said they weren't.
No, they won't. They'll sue them. That'll be on the next things to do list. So be ready for that.
Hey, well, sounds like fun.
Yeah.
And here's hoping, now that the city has re-upped mayor's contract to install curb cuts, that they will not be laggards as they have and allow corners to sit for 3 and 4 weeks at a time, torn up, inaccessible. When PennDOT can get those corners opened up and poured within less than a week, it's ridiculous that when our contractor, the city's contractor, tears up crosswalks, access to crosswalks, and they leave them all 4 at the same time, and they leave them that way for 4 weeks, and the city lets them get away with it and then renews their contract, that's ridiculous.
Well, that's entirely up to in our form of government. The buck stops at the mayor's office, and he's not gonna like hearing that, but he controls the people that have something to say about that. Have you heard what I said at the meeting, didn't you, Freda?
You want to be. You can make resolutions and stuff. But
We have it, Freda. We have all kinds of rules, but nobody. Did you hear what I said at the meeting last time about how they shut roads off at will? They close sidewalks off. There's never any notice, there's never any, justification as to how's the fire department gonna get there, let alone the pedestrians.
They do.
The other day, John, they had, Freda, I think she heard me at the meeting, I hope she did, they had 6th Street and 7th Street closed off from Parade.
But you don't know about what's happening on the west side of downtown. You're only aware of
No,
what
Freda, my mother lives on the west side, I know it's the same thing there. I'm more familiar with the east because I see it, and I'm not dumb enough to think that if it's happening on the east side, it's not happening on the west side. And I've told this to the engineering department, the traffic engineer. I said, when we close off major arteries or sidewalks, we need to look at the overall effect. I go to other towns and they warn you. They say, for instance, if you're coming down Parade Street, and I use that because I come to work every morning. Now, I understand your insurance has to build. That's a project. That's fine. Put a sign at 7th and Parade saying the road is closed ahead.
Right.
Don't wait till you drive all the way down, then you got one-way streets and you're driving all through neighborhoods, trying to figure out how to get where you want to go. And like Freda says, out in front of City Hall, that was what, 3 weeks?
It's a month.
A month, okay? Look, if you tear up in most towns, I remember we never did this. Like in the bigger cities, when they were doing projects, they put steel plate over the top of the hole so people could drive at night until they finished the project, okay? And when you had, like even in Chicago, when they closed sidewalk intersections, they're not there forever.
You know what we wrote down? I was coming down Peach Street yesterday.
Yeah.
They have Peach Street blocked off from 26th to 24th.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing that.
You want to know why?
Because of that,
Flea market.
No. Well, no. They're painting the sidewalks.
They're what?
I'm sorry. They're painting the streets. Like how we did the.
oh yeah,
How we did the mural, the gay pride
Yeah.
flag. They're painting the street, like we did out here. That's why Peach Street was closed.
No, there was also that flea market.
Well, this was, I'd say, I rode by there yesterday at around 6 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
And there was no flea market going on.
Okay. Well, what was Kaz? I
Yeah.
know you don't participate in any kind of social media, but I think his name is Frank Stramilla. He's the new guy since the other guy opened up the tea place, the bubble tea place.
yeah.
And he has been putting on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Nextdoor.
Yeah.
Not always, but street closures and even sometimes sidewalk closures.
Okay, but Freda, I'm gonna use your argument against you, okay? Just like you say, pedestrians are not heard and all that. A lot of people in this town do not have computers, do not go on social media. They want, like my life, I have nothing to do with it because A, I got too many things to do.
Yes, and you don't answer your emails either, Kaz.
I do answer them when you want to see how many I got? You're free to look at them. Freda, before you make that call, I'll let you use my phone and you can look through them, okay? And when I wake up in the morning, there's quite a bit on there. And remember, I got to do this during my time, okay? I'm not a full-time employee. And I do this, I do it because that's my job, but I also have a life and I have a family. So I do what I can. I've made phone calls while I was on vacation, other places, and so do the rest of the councilmen. But
You're going to do something about those underpasses that you told me you were going to talk to Penelec about?
we are in talks with them, but
About Cherry Liberty Ash Parade?
yes, I've talked to them. In fact, we talked to them a little bit in the mayor's office one day, and we're going to continue that. We just met, they have a new guy working. We'll get that, but it's going to take people like you to get involved. When you talk about some of the problems, where is the voices of independence yelling it, okay? You know what I'm saying, Freda?
Hey, I have gotten some things done.
No,
even though
you do, but people
I
should
got-
be appalled at what's going on when they close down things. The voices of independence should be yelling and screaming. I try. Have you ever tried to walk down Parade Street, Freda? Look at the cars parked over the sidewalk. I don't know how many times I called about them, and then I get calls the same thing on the west side.
Oh,
But
what do you call, Kaz?
I call the police department, I call,
Gotta call the parking authority.
no, parking authority,
They cleaned up Raspberry for me. They cleaned up Raspberry
yes, they
around.
will if they're told to, but here's the problem. It's a bigger problem. It's, engineering needs to get involved and code enforcement, because these businesses are just putting cars on the sidewalks. And yeah, the parking authority tickets them once in a while, but they don't always ticket them.
Well, I suggest you do that because that
I-
way you're going to
I do,
channel.
I call everybody, but unless there's a concerted effort, and nothing's changed. I mean, I still go down Parade Street today, and you got dumpsters, things blocking sidewalks, and yet nowhere in that whole thing do you hear the voices of independents complaining. And they should be. They should be calling my phone and knock it,
Yeah, right.
and they should be calling the mayor's office
They
and
should
saying,
have a press conference right there,
yeah, I mean, I'll go up there and take pictures. I got pictures.
Oh, something, they have lost a lot of staff. Mel's daughter isn't there anymore. Some other people got laid off because they lost some of their funding.
Yeah, but I mean, somebody's gotta yell a little bit, because there's things going on. I mean, if you walk downtown, that's why, when the city's talking about,
You know what we need, Kaz, as I have been saying?
yeah,
Need a bicycle pedestrian task force.
yes, and I brought that up to the chief, because Bobby Mursky and I saw this in Allentown, PA. And it was really great. They had these people on bikes with vests and police radios, no guns.
Yeah.
But they were trained what to look for and what to respond to.
No, we need a group that meets and gets to review plans and gets to have public meetings and hear complaints and be the voice of the people who are pedestrian and bicycle oriented, not just people riding around.
I thought the mayor had that. He doesn't?
No, it doesn't exist. I've been talking about it for a long time, but it doesn't exist.
Well, we'll have to get together after the next meeting, but I gotta cut you off, because we
Hey,
only got a couple more people, and then we're getting off.
all right, bye-bye.
I was gonna say, but, when she brought up about a lot of that stuff, it's gonna take tax money. Nobody wants to do that.
And she's right about the community college.
Yes, she is. Go ahead. Go ahead, caller.
Your last call was a little ridiculous.
Pardon?
Length of time that she was on.
Yeah, I know.
I have a question.
Yes.
I seen a picture of the mural on the public dock.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but
Supposed to be anyway.
I don't know. I haven't seen it. I'll take a look at it. Why,
Whatever it is, it's I think it's ridiculous.
Well, I don't know what they're up to. I do like, Fred had disagreed with what they're planning on doing underneath the dock. But when you think about it, what they're saying is, there's really not much reason to drive around that dock. When you think about it?
He's right. I don't know. I guess with art, the uglier it is, and the less
Well,
you can make out of it, the better
Do you remember
it is.
the one they had, the guy that was like this?
No.
They had that at the art museum, and
Oh, yeah.
then you got that thing they put on, what street is that, with the horse and a globe?
Oh, up there on
Yeah.
14th by the,
Hey, how old are you, sir?
87.
Oh, you lived in Erie, right?
Yes, I do, all my life.
I'm gonna test you. Do you remember the goalposts in Perry Square?
No, I don't remember those.
That's what we called them. They had, John,
What are they?
they looked like this.
oh, I remember those, yeah.
Yeah, they had these bars that were curved.
Well, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, but I mean, that was modern art, right?
Yeah, right.
They stuck them there, and I remember we joked that a buddy and I were gonna take a football down there and see if we could kick between them. But they, some artists said that's art, and they put it in the park,
Were you the caller that called that was talking about the lighting down there? We had a caller that called to talk. We were talking about the dock itself, and the lighting is poor. So the other night I rode down there, and I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, that's a really good. It is. The lighting down there is really poor.
Well, you gotta get more lighting.
Yeah, it's just you're right. But go ahead, caller.
Another thing. I see Ralph Montilla wants it. We're on the shore back in the city.
Yeah.
Do not want to see one penny of taxpayers' money to fund this thing.
Well, what scares me is the mayor, I was really proud of the mayor and I supported him. and so did a majority of council, that it was something, when I was controller, I could never find out the truth because no records were kept. You know, I hand it to this mayor, you know, well, here's the thing. They never kept specific records as to who was called out and what, and that's easy to do. This mayor said, okay, every time you call the police out, let's keep a record. So he had a running total, how much it cost. I can never find that out because they didn't exist. So what I just hope he's not retreating now, you know, unless, if they let them back in there, they better get every dime we're entitled to.
Well, now we got, you know, the Gears and Grub.
Yeah,
local
and they
people.
paid, they paid William.
Harley Davidson is having
And
their
guess
event
what?
down there.
They left North Park Row open for the merchants.
Maybe they'll just cancel, if they cancel it, then everybody will come back here.
What do you think, sir?
I don't care, as long as the city doesn't pay 1 penny.
Yeah, I mean,
I like to see what goes into Ralph Pontillo's pocket. That's what I like to know.
that's easy to find out. There's a
lot.
There's a Councilwoman Ellen tried to find out what the latest number was. They didn't have it out yet, but somewhere in Harrisburg, there's a site that you can find out how much, you know, he paid himself.
I don't have a computer.
No, but you know what? If I find out, I'll ask Liz if she ever found out how much he made. You know, because they have to file as a nonprofit, they have to file with the Commonwealth. But to me, Gears and Grubs was great. They paid their bill. They left North Park Row open for those merchants along there. Everybody had a good time, and I think it worked out better.
I mean, there wasn't as many people down here, because I rode down by here, but,
Yeah.
I mean, it was good.
Hey, look, the beer places make out and the bars, but the rest of the merchants that don't sell that,
You know, there was a lot on, so we're gonna be off the air during the show, but a lot of people on social media.
They'll call if they want.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
But there was a lot of people on social media that were behind the scenes that really, the blame for greed was on Ralph Pontillo.
yeah. Go ahead, you'll probably be the last caller.
Okay, I want to get in before that Frida gets back on. She chewed up a half hour of your show today.
I know, I apologize, that's my fault.
Okay, I'm going to tell you something real quick, Kaz,
Yeah,
about these pedestrian walkways. I've been out to Vegas many times, and they had a lot of problems out in Vegas when people get hit by cars. They put these pedestrian walkways over that Las Vegas Boulevard, and it was 100% worked. It took away the people from crossing the street, and it worked fine, and it's a great thing to have them go over the top.
well, they got them in Chicago and they got them in Minneapolis, and I've seen them in other places. I don't think they're bad, you know. And you know, the state will come up with the money one way or the other.
Who paid for the security for tall ships?
Probably the flagship Niagara.
Flagship Niagara League won that one.
Okay, fine.
But I don't know because that had nothing to do with directly with the city.
I highly doubt that the city would pay for that.
What?
For the tall ship Niagara security and not the Roar on the Shores.
Yeah, I will, you know, I'll find out from,
That's a good question.
Brenda Sandberg, because, you know, with the Port Authority, she'll have a good idea. But I imagine they, I don't know who paid for the federal government. That's a good question there, though. Probably the federal government. You know, with Homeland and all that.
So Homeland, they got their own funding. So.
Yeah, so I mean, they came in here, but I imagine, I wasn't aware of us paying anything because that was strictly run by the Niagara League. Are you there, sir? We'll have to find out, but are we off the air?
We've been off. No, we're on the air still, but the replays will be done.
Okay, well, we better get off then, cause.
Yeah, guys, good show today. So
Yep.
we had some callers.
Busy.
Busy is good. Thanks for calling, everybody. Have a good day.
I gotta meet my wife. You coming on next week?
Yeah, we'll see. Okay. We're off next week.
Why?
Labor Day.
You have been watching Taxpayers Hotline, recorded live from the fabulous city of Erie, Pennsylvania.